Hey guys, I'm Mike Rivers with the Rivers Group at Compass Real Estate. I'm a Boston area native and a local real estate advisor. And in this video, I'm going to be taking a look at Boston Seaport neighborhood, also known as the South Boston Waterfront. And if you think you might need someone to help you navigate buying or renting in the Seaport or any other neighborhood in Boston, please feel free to send me a text at the number below. Let me know what it is you're looking for. I'll do whatever I can to help you out. Guys, I grew up 10 minutes from here. I have lived and worked in Boston for the last 20 years, and I absolutely love helping people out who are following our channel. So give me a shout, let me know what you're looking for, and I'll see what I can do. In the meantime, let's dive into the Seaport neighborhood, starting with a quick overview of its location and its recent growth. Now, where is the Seaport or the South Boston Waterfront located? This neighborhood is located just on the north edge of South Boston, just south of the downtown Boston waterfront across the Fort Point Channel. The older area of the Seaport running along the channel is appropriately named Fort Point, after the fort that was built along the harbor here during colonial times, before the landmass that makes up the Seaport neighborhood even existed. Now I'm going to include the Fort Point neighborhood as I talk about the pros and cons of the Seaport. Even though it's commonly referred to as a separate area, it is still part of the overall South Boston waterfront. Now, as I just mentioned, the landmass that actually makes up the Seaport's neighborhood was filled in over the last few centuries, like much of Boston's waterfront areas. In the early 1900s, this was primarily an industrial area for fishing and trade, that after World War II had slowly evolved into countless empty warehouses and parking lots. But the Seaport has completely transformed over the last decade or two into what has become Boston's newest, coolest, ultra-modern corporate and residential hub. The completion of the Big Dig back in the early 2000s was a huge catalyst for the transformation of this area. The elevated I-93 expressway was buried underneath the city in a nearly $15 billion project that took about 15 years to complete.
The IRS, they allow for T&A, it's fine.
T&E. T-N-E.
Yeah, I said T&E.
No, you said T-N-A.
Now, this allowed surface roads to better facilitate access to this district from other parts of the city. The new connectivity to the downtown area combined with the perfect waterfront location made it very desirable for both businesses and residents. From there, the area transformed into a high-end neighborhood of full-service residential buildings and home to large corporations, biotech companies, and leaders in innovation. This neighborhood has absolutely exploded in recent years, and plenty of positives and a few drawbacks have come out of this rapid expansion. Now let's dig into those pros and cons. So I generally like to start off on a positive note here. And the first pro of the Seaport is the ultra-modern luxury waterfront living options. The Seaport offers a ton of these ultra-modern full-service apartments and condos with stunning waterfront and city views, providing what many realtors may refer to as a unique luxury urban living experience. But I would probably refer to these condos as absolutely sick.
Fancy living, here we come!
While you do get some older buildings in the more historic Fort Point area along Summer Street and further inland, these waterfront areas are generally much newer mid-rise and high-rise residential buildings and commercial office spaces and labs. Fort Point is that historic older part of the neighborhood when it comes to the built structures, but a lot of these buildings have been converted from industrial or warehouse spaces into more modern mixed-use spaces, offices, and residential lofts. So if you are tied to the Seaport as far as the location goes, but you're looking for that more historic Boston feel, the Fort Point area offers a little bit of both of those things. The second pro of the Seaport is the dining, nightlife, and entertainment options. And with much of the Seaport being inhabited by high net worth working professionals with some extra money in their pocket, there's no shortage of high-end restaurants and entertainment options here. The Seaport boasts an array of trendy clubs, bars, and lounges, making it a vibrant and lively place and definitely a big party spot for young folks. Dining options include some pricier joints like Ocean Prime, Monton, and Moo Steakhouse. And there are some more casual options like the Barking Crab, Gather, and of course the always popular Shake Shack. Clubs like the Grand and Icon are popular late night spots, but there are some great pregame options around like Drink, Lookout Rooftop, City Tap House, and Harpoon Brewery. And if you're more into casual vibes and games like bowling, mini golf, darts, and backyard games, which happens to be my specialty, there are some great options in King's, Putt Shack, Flight Club, Spin Boston, and Lawn on D. All great gaming bar venues and solid spots for casual drinks or date nights. And if that's not enough entertainment for you,
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
you have city cruises and boat tours as a great way to get out on the open water to escape the sometimes overwhelming hustle of city life. And you can always catch a show at Laugh Boston Comedy Club over by the Westin Seaport Hotel. And then there's the Bank of America Pavilion, which will probably have a different name by the time you watch this, but it's a very popular concert venue down by the cruise ship terminal in Boston Design Center. And there are plenty more entertainment options, some of which I'll touch on in just a minute. The next pro of the Seaport is you're probably going to be eating some of the freshest seafood on the East Coast.
Say, Clyde, do you like fish sticks? Yes.
Despite the area growing rapidly around Fish Pier over the last 20 years, this neighborhood is still where a lot of the city's fish comes in. If you're planning on living in the Seaport area, you'll be eating seafood just a few blocks from where it came off the boat and probably just hours after it's been caught. The next pro of this neighborhood is the cultural and educational attractions. The Seaport is home to cultural venues like the Institute of Contemporary Art, or ICA. Then the FPAC, or Fort Point Arts Community, is known for its artist studios, galleries, and events showcasing the local arts community, making the Seaport a great place for art lovers. The Boston Convention and Exhibition Center, or BCEC,
Try and keep up with the acronyms.
is one of the largest exhibition centers in the Northeast, and there are always great conventions to check out there. Over on the water, the equally impressive Seaport World Trade Center is another convention center currently in the middle of a massive revitalization project. The Fort Point neighborhood is also home to the Boston Children's Museum and Boston Tea Party Museum, which are great for family outings with the kids. And you have some other great community spaces in Seaport Commons, a public space often used for community events, performances, and gatherings. And then you have District Hall, a collaborative space for innovation and entrepreneurship, hosting events, workshops, and networking opportunities. So this very lively neighborhood has a ton to offer in terms of cultural and educational attractions. The next pro of the Seaport is the location and accessibility. If you're someone that enjoys a short walk, you cannot get much closer to downtown Boston, and you can be in the heart of the city in 20 minutes on foot. There is convenient access to public transportation in the Silver Line, which is essentially a bus line that is technically included in the MBTA subway system. Just outside of the Seaport, you'll find the MBTA's Red Line trains at Broadway and South Station. But since these are a bit of a walk from the Seaport's waterfront areas, I'm going to get to that in a little bit in the drawback section. But let's continue on a positive note here and continue with the pros. The next and final positive aspect I'm going to talk about here is the future development of the Seaport. The Seaport is a large area, and the city and developers are showing no signs of slowing down. The Seaport Square project is a massive development project that aims to transform a large portion of the Seaport district into a mixed-use neighborhood. It includes office space, residential units, retail, and open spaces, and the development is expected to continue expanding in the coming years. In addition to that, we have the South Boston Waterfront Sustainable Transportation Plan. Not sure why they didn't just say Seaport here instead of making this title as long as humanly possible, but Boston has been working on improving transportation infrastructure in the Seaport district to alleviate traffic and improve accessibility. This includes expanding public transportation options, including water transit options, and enhancing pedestrian and cycling facilities. Plus, there are ongoing plans for new office buildings and corporate headquarters, new cultural and entertainment venues, and new residential development. So you can be sure investing in the Seaport neighborhood, your property values are not likely to be going down anytime in the near future. Now, with that said, let's take a look at a few reasons that people might avoid living in this neighborhood. Now, first up on the drawbacks list is the high cost of living here. This is certainly not the first time I've included a neighborhood's cost in the drawbacks section of one of these videos, but the Seaport's popularity and ultra-modern waterfront lifestyle comes with a hefty price tag. It's one of Boston's most expensive neighborhoods to live in. But if you've been saving your pennies, maybe you're a higher net worth individual, either way, this is an incredible option as far as locations in Boston. You are likely going to be paying for full-service living, which is priceless for many, and outside the building itself, the convenience of this area in Boston is pretty tough to beat. But let's take a look at some of the hard numbers for the last 12 months, starting with the sales prices of condos. So the median sales price for a studio in the Seaport is $812,000, the one-bedroom median sales price $1.2 million, the two-bedroom median sales price $2.5 million, and the three-bedroom median sales price is $2.9 million. And as far as the rental rates go, the studios are going for $3,250 a month, the one-bedroom median rate is $4,725 a month, the two-bedroom median rate is $7,800 a month, and the three-bedroom median rental rate for an apartment in the Seaport is $12,000 a month, although those three bedrooms are a lot harder to come by. The second drawback of the Seaport is the lack of subway access. And while the subway is accessible at South Station, which is a huge transportation hub of Boston, you do need to cross the Fort Point Channel to get there, which isn't the end of the world. There are several bridges that will take you over to downtown downtown. But for those people who are less inclined or less able to walk on foot, the lack of proximity to subway options may be an issue. Some people may just not want to venture across a windy channel first thing on a February morning. And with that said, bus transportation via the Silver Line is a great public transportation option, and as I mentioned, as a part of future developments, the transportation issues are definitely on the docket for future improvements. Drawback number 3 is the traffic congestion and parking issues here, all very common in the Boston area. But growing corporate and residential hubs means more people and more traffic congestion, especially during peak hours. You are in one of the more dense areas of the city, in an area with basically no direct subway access. You have water on 2 sides, and on the other side, you have access points to the major expressways of I-93 and I-90. This is a recipe for some of the worst gridlock traffic in the city at rush hour. I mean, it can really suck. I once drove over to the Seaport neighborhood to meet a friend for a drink after work, and I got distracted while I was over there looking for a parking meter. I took a wrong turn that took me over the 4-point channel, ended up taking me 30 minutes to get back over there, and ended up just parking at a garage for $40 anyway. So if you do own a car and you use it often, just get ready to have your patience tested in this neighborhood because it can be very, very frustrating. And that brings me to the parking rates, which are going to be around $40 for the day, $425 a month. And if you're buying a condo in the Seaport neighborhood, expect to pay around $100,000 to $150,000 additionally for a private parking space. And in some condo sales, a parking space is not even going to be an option. The next drawback is the limited green space. And while the waterfront is beautiful here, there's a scarcity of parks and green areas, which can be a drawback for families and outdoor enthusiasts. There are some small parks in the area and other options nearby that may involve leaving the neighborhood and heading to areas just north into the city like the Rose Kennedy Greenway or Boston Common, or just south to Castle Island, Moakley Park, and Carson Beach. Also, there are unfortunately quite a few pet restrictions on the very few lawns that exist in this neighborhood, so I wouldn't plan on running your dog around in the area's publicly accessible green spaces. The final drawback I'm going to discuss is the seasonal weather. And Boston experiences some harsh winters being a coastal New England city, which can make living in the actual waterfront pretty insufferable during colder months. It can also be extremely windy here with these offshore breezes coming through, so you'll have to bundle up a little bit more than in the inland parts of the city if you are living in this neighborhood. Also, you are at sea level here, so don't be shocked if the occasional storm brings Boston Harbor right to your doorstep. There is definitely occasional flooding here, especially in those water adjacent areas. And although it's not frequent, it's certainly not a fun time to be living in this neighborhood. So guys, that wraps up the pros and cons of the Seaport neighborhood. And if you have any questions about living in this neighborhood or any other neighborhood of Greater Boston, whether it's in the metro area or even into the suburbs, please feel free to shoot me a text, give me a call, let me know what you're looking for. If I can't help you, I'll find someone that can. It costs you guys nothing to connect with me, so feel free to shoot me a text anytime and I'll do whatever I can to help you out. But hopefully this video gave you guys a great overview of the Seaport neighborhood. And if it even helped you remotely, please like, comment, subscribe, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please stay tuned for more great Boston real estate content, and thank you for watching.